Yesterday, the Israeli Mossad, the equivalent of our CIA, the only difference is it's competent as opposed to our CIA, who many people believe assassinated John Kennedy. Other than incompetent, it's also nefarious, to put it nicely. The Israeli Mossad apparently blew up the pagers of many Hezbollah terrorists. Of course, they're supported by Iran. Where did they blow them up? Mostly in their pockets. So I had kind of a joke that I wanted to give everyone. It's a little bit off color, but I think it's fairly funny. Let's hope that the 72 versions aren't upset because their private parts were obviously blown up with the pagers. Today, apparently, the Mossad blew up walkie-talkies. Several thousand people were maimed, many were killed. This obviously is something the Israelis did because they want them to show that they're not safe anywhere, that collaboration with Hamas, collaboration with Iran will not go unanswered. But what happens when that occurs? Our Secretary of State, this Marxian member of the Jewish left, and again, do not equate this with Jews. They are not Jews at all. They're Marxians. They're the disciples of Karl Marx, the Jewish left. If most of them are either agnostic or secularized, they could care less about the Jewish faith. You know that I'm a Jewish Christian, Messianic. But what does our Secretary of State do? He does a press conference. Don't blame me. It's not my fault. It's not the United States' fault. This is the showing of strength that you're getting from what's now the Harris regime. This is a sissy. It's a coward. It's someone who shirks his responsibility. You know, the irony here is that Israel, whether announced or not, has become an ally of Saudi Arabia. Iran wants to destroy Saudi Arabia. Iran wants the oil fields. Iran wants Mecca. Iran wants to harm the royal family. And the Israelis and the Saudis should get together, because the United States doesn't have the guts to do it, at least under the Harris regime, and take out the Iranian leadership, the regime, and the military, including the Iranian military guard, Revolutionary Guard. It's my message for today. It's no wonder we have all these wars all over the world. It's no wonder more on the horizon with China and Taiwan. It's no wonder that we're on the verge of a nuclear holocaust with Russia, now that the Harris regime wants to allow Ukraine to use weapons with our component parts to hit vital centers of Russia. The fact that we even have a war in Russia is the fault, in the Ukraine with Russia, is the fault of the Harris regime. Because Joe Biden, who really is no longer president, just hangs out. I don't know what he's doing. He's probably sleeping all day long if he's not at the beach. Told Putin, okay, it's okay if you just take parts of Ukraine. No big deal. So yeah, he went into Ukraine. One thing led to the next, and we're now on the verge of a nuclear holocaust, notwithstanding the wars in the Middle East, North Korea arming up yet again with more nuclear weapons, Iran going back to that issue, just days away from having its own nuclear weapon, just having launched a missile, a satellite into outer space. They now have the capability potentially for intercontinental ballistic missiles to hit not just Israel, but the United States and also Saudi Arabia and others that they consider to be a threat. This is the state of the world today. I'm not campaigning for Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or anybody in that administration or Anthony Blinken, who's an absolute, frankly, excuse the French, pussy. This is what he is. He's a leftist pussy. And what happens with the left? When they're challenged, they run for the exits. They're big, tough guys when it comes to defaming conservatives, people of faith, and those who believe in the vision and creation of our founding fathers. They're big, tough guys when it comes to defrauding the electorate in elections. They're really good at that, particularly in major cities. They're real good when it comes to persecuting, like a Gestapo, the peaceful protesters of January 6th. They're real good at allowing for violent crime to harm our citizens. And they're real good for allowing terrorists, sex traffickers, human traffickers, and others to run across our border to threaten our nation. They're good at all those things. One of the things about the left, which is so great, is they have lots of rules, but they don't in any way intend to follow those rules themselves. They're for other people. And their rules are based on socialism, communism, atheism, and frankly, in today's world, perversion, pushing sex change operations on young children behind the backs of their parents, to name just one example. That's my message for today. Go to freedomwatchusa.org, contribute to our cause with tax-deductible contributions. We are your Justice Department. As I always say, you have no real Justice Department. The only thing that exists today from a government perspective on the federal level is a Gestapo run by Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, and that clown of a chameleon of an FBI director, Christopher Wray. And don't forget that they'll never get to the bottom of the two assassination attempts of President Trump. It'll be covered up like everything else has been covered up. Because frankly, I believe that the Harris-Biden regime is behind much of it, if not all of it. Either they made the means or they cleared the way for assassins to try to kill President Trump, because frankly, they want him dead. They don't want to have to compete against him in an election. They want to walk into the White House yet again and assert a total dictatorship. Or it was an inside job. Not the first time it would have happened in American history. In any event, they're guilty. And in any event, continuing to call President Trump a threat to democracy and all other kinds of names, Hitler, whatever else, that's a message. That's a signal to people to try to kill President Trump. It is ironic that at this point in time, that these people can even consider themselves to be public servants. They're the servants of the devil. That's what they are. And we at Freedom Watch peacefully and legally intend to hold them accountable to the rule of law, to, in our citizens' grand juries, seek their indictments, try them, convict them, sentence them, and put them all in prison where they belong. And that goes for Kamala Harris, that goes for Joe Biden, that goes for the Attorney General of the United States, at least for now, Merrick Garland, and it goes for Christopher Wray, the chameleon of an FBI director, along with the rest of them. We've already convicted Joe Biden of bribery from communist China, Russia, and Ukraine. He got 20 years. Anthony Fauci got life imprisonment for what he did. And we will seek to legally and peacefully carry it out. We're looking for established law enforcement who will get the job done, and we will find them, and we will hold them accountable peacefully and legally. God bless you. God bless your family. God save America. Remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves. Thank you for listening to me. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast.